Picture a small town in northeastern Brazil. Red dirt roads, simple houses. A young mother balancing a baby on one hip while scrolling through her phone with the other hand, wondering if there's a bigger life waiting for her somewhere beyond those familiar streets. No modeling agency, no Hollywood connections, no wealthy family backing her dreams. Just a girl with a camera, an unshakable confidence, and an idea so simple it's almost laughable. What if I just show people my real life? What if that's enough? Well, spoiler alert, it was more than enough. That young woman went from a nobody in a small Brazilian state that most people can't even find on a map to becoming one of the top 13 most influential fitness personalities in the entire country of Brazil. Over 1 million people across platforms now follow her every move, her every dance, her every laugh, her every honest moment of just being herself. Welcome back to Gorgeous Models, the channel where we don't just show you pretty faces, we tell you the real stories behind them. If you're new here, this is your home for deep dives into the journeys, the struggles, and the victories of the most inspiring models and influencers in the world today. Hit that subscribe button right now and smash that like icon, because what you're about to hear is going to genuinely change how you think about success, authenticity, and what's actually possible when someone refuses to apologize for who they are. Today, we're telling the complete story of Sandy Alvves, and I promise you, this one is going to hit different. But before we go any further, let me ask you something that I genuinely want you to think about. In a world absolutely drowning in fake perfection, in filtered faces and staged moments and influencers pretending their lives are flawless, what happens when someone shows up and just says, "This is actually me. Take it or leave it"? Does that work? Can raw, unfiltered authenticity actually compete with manufactured perfection in the brutal attention economy of social media? Sandy Alvves answered that question, and the answer might surprise you. Now listen, if you appreciate content that actually digs deep, that goes beyond the surface and tells you the real story behind the followers and the fame, then Gorgeous Models is your home. Subscribe right now, because we put serious work into every single video, and the community we're building here is full of people who want substance, not just spectacle. Hit that like button too, because it genuinely helps us reach more people who deserve to hear these stories. All right, let's go. Let's start at the very beginning, because where Sandy comes from is absolutely essential to understanding who she is and why her story matters so much. Sandy Alvves was born around the year 2002 in Tobias Barreto, a city in the state of Sergipe in northeastern Brazil. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Where? And that's exactly the point. Sergipe is the smallest state in Brazil by area, a place that rarely makes national headlines, a place that the entertainment industry in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro barely acknowledges exists. Northeastern Brazil has historically been one of the most economically disadvantaged regions of the country, a place where opportunity is scarcer, where the path from a regular life to fame and financial success is much steeper and much less forgiving than it is for kids growing up in the wealthy southern cities. But northeastern Brazil also has something that the glamorous South sometimes lacks: soul. The culture of this region is rich and vibrant and deeply rooted. The music traditions, the forró rhythms that make your feet move involuntarily, the vaquejada festivals that celebrate the cowboy heritage, the food, the warmth of the people, the sense of community, the straightforward, honest way of living. These aren't small things. These are the foundations of an identity that Sandy would carry with her every step of the way, and they would become one of her greatest assets as she built her platform. Growing up in Tobias Barreto, Sandy wasn't surrounded by runway models or Instagram influencers. She wasn't attending exclusive fitness classes or shopping at designer boutiques. She was living a regular northeastern Brazilian life, the kind of life that most media and entertainment industries completely ignore. And something about that ordinariness, that realness, that groundedness in actual human experience would later become the secret ingredient that made her content connect with people so powerfully. Now here's where Sandy's story takes its first unexpected turn, the kind of turn that would define everything that came after. Sandy became a mother at a young age. This is the kind of thing that in many societies, and honestly in many corners of the internet too, gets treated as a setback, as a limitation, as something that closes doors instead of opening them. Society has a way of looking at young mothers, especially young mothers without significant resources, and seeing an obstacle rather than a person with potential. But Sandy Alvves flipped that script completely. Instead of hiding this part of her life or treating it as something to overcome or apologize for, she made it central to who she is publicly. She put the word mine, which means mother in Portuguese, right there in her Instagram bio, front and center. No shame, no apology, just pride. And this decision, this seemingly small choice about how to present herself online, turned out to be one of the most powerful things she ever did for her brand and her connection with her audience. Think about how many young women out there became mothers early and felt like the world suddenly saw them differently, felt like doors were closing, felt like the fun and the ambition and the possibility they'd imagined for themselves were suddenly off the table. Sandy looked at all of those women and said, no, you don't have to choose. You can be a mother and be ambitious. You can raise a child and build a career. You can be real about the messy, beautiful complexity of your life, and people will love you more for it, not less. That message doesn't just resonate, it lands like a lifeline for people who needed to hear exactly that. And speaking of things that make Sandy genuinely unique and deeply human, her faith. In a world where many public figures either hide their beliefs to avoid controversy or weaponize their religion for performative purposes, Sandy takes a quieter, more genuine approach. She includes expressions of gratitude to God in her posts. On her 23rd birthday in June 2025, she publicly thanked God for the growth and the achievements in her life, not in a preachy way, not in a look how religious I am way, but in the genuine way that someone speaks when they actually believe what they're saying. Her backup Instagram account includes the phrase, Jesus é o caminho, which means Jesus is the way. This isn't branding, this is just who she is. And for her audience, many of whom come from deeply religious northeastern Brazilian communities where faith is woven into the fabric of daily life, seeing that authenticity from someone they admire creates a connection that goes way beyond likes and follows. It creates genuine trust, the kind of trust that you earn not by being perfect, but by being real. Now let's talk about how Sandy actually started building her presence, because this is where the strategy and the creativity really start to shine. Sandy began the way most successful grassroots influencers begin, by sharing her actual life, not a fantasy version of her life, not an aspirational lifestyle she was pretending to have. Her actual life in all its northeastern Brazilian young mother, small city reality. She posted photos and videos that reflected her genuine world, the rhythms of forró music that she grew up hearing, the cultural celebrations and traditions of her region, her sense of humor, her relationship with her family, her love of fitness, her fashion choices as a curvy young woman navigating a world that doesn't always make room for body types like hers. And here's something crucial that many aspiring influencers miss completely. Sandy didn't wait until she had enough followers to start being herself. She was herself from day one. There was no calculated transformation from generic content to authentic content. There was just authentic content, period, from the very beginning. This matters enormously because authenticity that comes later always feels like a strategy, like you got advice from a consultant and decided to rebrand as the real one. But authenticity that was there from the start, that was never anything other than genuine, that feels different. It feels true. And audiences, especially the incredibly sophisticated audiences that exist on social media today, can feel the difference. Sandy's fitness content was another key element that drove her growth. She is what she calls herself, a lover of fitness, and that passion shows in everything she shares about health and wellness. But here's what's interesting about how she presents fitness content compared to how so many others do it. Sandy doesn't present fitness as a path to looking a certain way or reaching some socially approved ideal body type. She presents it as something she genuinely enjoys, something that makes her feel strong and good and alive. Her curvy, athletic physique isn't something she apologizes for or hides or constantly promises to change. She's proud of it. She owns it completely. And that pride, that unapologetic celebration of a body that doesn't fit the narrow, traditional fitness model aesthetic, speaks directly to the millions of Brazilian women who have been told their whole lives that their curves are something to manage, minimize, or hide. Sandy says something different. Sandy says, "This is beautiful, this is powerful, this is worth celebrating." What lesson from her story do you think is most applicable to your own life? Do you think the rise of influencers from smaller, less traditionally glamorous cities represents real lasting change in media and representation, or is it a temporary trend? Drop your answers in the comments because these conversations are genuinely enriching and I read every single one. And if this video gave you something, whether it was inspiration or perspective or just a fascinating story you're going to share with someone you know, then please hit that like button because it's the simplest and most powerful way you can support what we're building here at Gorgeous Models. Subscribe if you haven't already because we have more stories like this coming. Deep dives into the real human beings behind the follower counts, the strategies behind the success, the lessons that apply far beyond social media. Sandy Alvves is proof that the world is bigger and more interesting than the gatekeepers ever wanted us to believe. That talent exists everywhere, that authenticity is a currency more valuable than any budget, that a young mother from a small Brazilian city can build something that reaches 1 million people and changes how they see themselves and what they believe is possible. That's not just a social media story, that's a human story, and those are the stories worth telling. I'll see you in the next video. Stay curious, stay real, and keep showing up as exactly who you are.